Hey guys, welcome back to the Spector Creative channel. My name is Scott Toy Guru Neitlich, and as I said based on my nickname, well, a lot of the videos I do on this channel are about toys. I spent 25 years working in the toy industry, and I love collecting toys. Okay, maybe not this specific toy, but the thing about toys that I really like is their connection to pop culture. In fact, I actually even wound up in a textbook about this. There's a whole chapter about me that I didn't even know was written. Kind of crazy when you look yourself up in the index of a book that's distributed to college students. All right. Well, what I want to talk about today in terms of pop culture are these things that we just believe that are not true. That pop culture just perpetuates this. I'm not talking about the Mandela effect, the idea of sort of something just kind of our memories misremembering, if you will. I mean, it has nothing to do with Mandela passing. It had to do with, does Curious George have a tail or not? And the answer is no, he does not. He is an ape, not a monkey. But that's not important right now. All right. So, Mandela effect aside, I want to address some things that are just factually wrong that I notice just pop up over and over again in the pop culture world. All right, without further ado, Star Wars. Blank, I am your father. Is it no, I am your father, or Luke, I am your father? Well, he never said, Luke, I am your father, like ever. It's no, I am your father. This is one of those odd ones that just cannot be explained. People just remember it like that. Even even on The Simpsons, when Lisa's looking up in the clouds and hears James Earl Jones' voice. All right. Speaking of, I guess, famous quotes, obviously this is a quote that everyone gets wrong. But how about ones that were never even spoken? Beam me up, Scotty. Right? Everybody knows that. You can say that and you're instantly transported to Star Trek. Yeah, no one ever said this in a single Star Trek content ever. Elementary, my dear Watson. Never spoken, ever. Not to mention, Sherlock Holmes never wore that hat or smoked that pipe in any of the books. They were added by illustrators and actors later on, after the books. So, yeah, a lot of things we tend to get wrong. What about things that we just are taught wrong? Who's this guy, right? Well, is he Spider-Man or Spider-Man? If you're a huge fan of the web slinger, you probably know that in order to correctly spell his name, he's one of the few superheroes that actually does have a hyphen. Almost no superheroes have hyphens, but in every instance, yes, it's Spider-Man, despite the fact that almost everyone writes it as one word. Sorry, webhead. The other spelling issue I always have is for Masters of the Universe. The castle, Grayskull, is named after Donald Glut's girlfriend, Linda Gray, Gray, and constantly it's spelled Grey. No, it's not a color. It's not interchangeable. It's Gray. All right, so that covers some spelling and some quote issues. But let's look at some actual larger facts that people tend to get wrong. Well, pirates. They're a big part of pop culture. Everyone loves pirates. I mean, I guess except people that are, fighting the pirates may not love them. All right, well, the thing is, there's a lot of books about pirates, a lot of movies about pirates, and they tend to, in today's modern go-go world, all show pirates more or less the same. Baggy pants. Pick up any big book of information, and this is what you're going to see, right? All right, well, the thing is, these are all complete lies made up by Howard Pyle, the same author who wrote the modern version of Robin Hood. In the 1880s, he published Howard Pyle's Book of Pirates, and it was thoroughly illustrated. Well, the thing is, he wanted to make his pirates colorful and stand out from the other sailors, so he dressed them up. Similar to how superheroes were based on circus performers, pirates were based on gypsies. They literally took the outfits that gypsies were wearing, and Howard Pyle gave it to pirates. It was literally a cut and paste. No pirate, Blackbeard, Redbeard, Yellowbeard, Purplebeard, ever dressed like we think of Captain Jack Sparrow. The look that was used for pirates was simply used to illustrate a book. Disney picked up on this with Treasure Island in the 60s, and that really solidified that look, especially the yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum that, no pirate ever said. So it's what pop culture does. Because of Howard Pyle and then Disney, we now close our eyes, and if you think of a pirate, you're going to think of someone wearing gypsy clothing. Interesting, right? Just because Howard Pyle happened to like this and thought it would stand out, all of pop culture, every Halloween costume, every Skull and Bones movie, they're going to dress like that. Here's another character from history that's always depicted wrong in pop culture, the Viking. While, yes, Vikings were notorious raiders and warriors, They didn't exactly carry hammers, and they definitely did not have horns on their helmets. This is what a Viking helmet looked like. It was a standard helmet that went over your head to protect you from someone trying to hit you. There were no horns. There were no horns on these helmets. You know why there's no horns? And you can see this from art and actual helmets that have survived, is because someone would grab the horn and pull you down with it. It's a terrible idea for armor. If you have something sticking out of your helmet, well, what's to stop an enemy from literally grabbing that horn and using it to your disadvantage to pull you to the ground or to whip it off of your head and then hit you with it? All of this look for Vikings and pirates was all made up in the 1880s. For pirates, it's from books, and for Vikings, it was from an opera. So for Wagner's operas, they dressed Vikings up with horned helmets because it would visually look neat. While there are some historical examples of these, they're really for artistic purposes. Actual battles were fought like this. All right, here's kind of a sad one, but it's really an important one. This cute little guy is a lemming. Now, you've probably heard of lemmings. They've been everywhere in pop culture in the last 40, 50 years. You may know them from video games or cartoons or movies. And if you do, you probably know them from one action. And that's the concept of lemmings jumping off cliffs, possibly even to their death. Mass suicide. Lemmings have become metaphors for literally following blindly someone into a plan or to your death or whatever. All right. Yeah, this is completely not true. This is 100%. I mean, does this cute guy look like he's going to jump off a cliff? This is bullshit. It was made up by this guy, or rather, the guy who ran this guy, Walt Disney. Not, well, Mickey Mouse is a fictional character, right? The point is Disney made this up. How did Disney and why would Disney make up the fact that lemmings commit suicide? Well, in their film White Wilderness, which one of their nature films about Antarctica, while they featured many different animals and had segments showing how they survived, the wolves performed just fine. All of the polar bears, the owls, they did great. They flew, they chased, they ate, they dug. The lemmings, on the other hand, they literally did nothing. They were boring. They sat around and did they brought no value to the movie. So Disney producers said, what if we just throw them off a cliff? And that's what they did. They literally threw hundreds and hundreds of animals off of cliffs in order to perpetuate the idea that lemmings commit mass suicide and had something visually interesting to do that would make the movie look neat. Yeah, this is horrible and not true. This is literally producers throwing animals off of a cliff. And it's stuck around in pop culture because it's just so, who would think? Why would an animal do that? All right, let's close out with kind of one of the biggest historical lies of all time in modern times, and that's about winning World War II. Now, obviously, World War II was won, and who won? Well, again, obviously the Allies did, but the concept that America just kicked Germany and Japan's butt and, we were the big heroes, obviously we know that we had allies, and it was it was an alliance between Russia, England, and America that did a lot of the hard fighting. And America in U.S. textbooks tends to be shown as the victor because we were the ones who dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, which truly ended World War II, and Nagasaki, the two bombs. All right, the thing is, this is completely not true. I mean, we did bomb those, but Japan had already had almost every major city destroyed by firebombing and other types of ammunitions and munitions. Without a single major city standing, when the U.S. came and bombed two more, it was like, okay, we already had 10 cities burned to the ground. What's two more? It was basically, it was not the attack that changed things. What changed things were that the Russians were coming. It had nothing to do with the nuclear bomb. The reason that Japan was terrified of the Russians is because, like Japan, the Russians had an emperor. But unlike Japan, the Russians murdered their emperor in a coup in the 1920s, Tsar Nicholas and his family. In Japan, the emperor is considered a god, and the idea of killing your emperor, of assassinating him, they thought that that's what the Russians were going to do. They were going to come in and kill their emperor, and they were scared out of their minds. And this is why they surrendered. It wasn't because bombs were dropped on them. Almost every city had already been destroyed in Japan by other munitions at this point. So, yeah, the concept that America came and swooped along and saved the world, ending the fight in Japan, It's just one of those myths that we tell American children. Probably because after World War II, we were entering the Cold War, and the idea that Russia was the ultimate victor and was the reason Japan surrendered, not to mention the reason Germany surrendered, just wasn't going to fly. Well, I hope this video was an interesting look at some things that we all believe that, honestly, factually, just ain't true. Have any other ones that you'd love to see a video on or other suggestions? Leave them in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.